William Shakespeare has gotten a coronavirus vaccine. Sounds like a pretty good place to start a newscast. Welcome to CNN 10. I'm Carl Azus. This week, the United Kingdom became the first Western country to make a vaccine available to its citizens. It approved the shot made by American pharmaceutical company Pfizer, though the vaccine's still in its trial phase. This is historic because researchers have been working on it for less than a year, and experts say no other vaccine has ever been developed in less than 4 years. The first person to get the shot outside of a clinical trial was a 90-year-old Briton named Margaret Keenan. Yesterday, she received the first of 2 doses. An 81-year-old named William Shakespeare, who goes by Bill, was the second person to get vaccinated. Britain has ordered enough vaccines for about a third of its 66 million people. Not all of the doses will be available immediately. Manufacturers still have to produce and distribute vaccines to the places that have ordered them, and not everyone who's eligible actually plans to get the vaccine. Polls have indicated that some members of the public have concerns about its safety, and some question its necessity, as more than 99% of people who contract coronavirus are estimated to survive it, though the disease has been blamed for contributing to more than 1.5 million deaths worldwide. The lockdowns, closures, and restrictions related to coronavirus have changed life as we know it. One sector that's been hit particularly hard is the restaurant industry. The U.S. National Restaurant Association says more than 110,000 establishments, or 17% of restaurants in America, have gone out of business because of forced closures and limits on the number of diners allowed. It expects that 10,000 more restaurants will close in the months ahead. To-go orders have made up for some of the lost revenue, and organizations like Gold Belly can connect mom-and-pop restaurants to customers across the country. It's not cheap. A meal for 4 can cost diners anywhere from $80 to $180. But for the customers and the restaurants with the means, it's an appetizing connection.
What's so interesting about food is it's emotional and it's personal. So that's why we look for the most unique, creative, loved foods all across the country, that when you get that box shipped to your door, you open it up, you smell those smells, it transports you to a different time and place. I'm Joe Ariel. I'm the founder and CEO of Goldbelly. We're an online marketplace platform where you can discover the most legendary and iconic regional foods all around the country and have them shipped to your door wherever you are in the US. We believe in the emotional power of food. And when the pandemic hit, I think a lot of the world felt deep connection to restaurants and places that they've loved. And we've built the first platform where a restaurant can access and reach customers that aren't in their local neighborhood. So we've basically seen a huge influx on both sides of our marketplace, on the customer base, and for restaurants who now really need to redefine their businesses and to open up a national demographic outside of their 2 or 3 mile radius of their neighborhood and local delivery radius, all of a sudden allows a mom and pop restaurant to have omni-channel e-commerce capabilities. Many of our restaurateurs and partners all across the country, when the pandemic hit, talked about there's no longer butts in the seats. And so hundreds of our partners have actually turned their indoor dining rooms that they can't really use into Goldbelly production, preparation, and shipping facilities. And for many of the restaurants, they're actually doing more covers now in Goldbelly orders than they were in customers coming into their shops. Part of our magic value proposition for restaurants is the technology to power not only the front end, but the back end dashboards for restaurants to take national shipping orders. And so we're able, with high level access with all the shipping carriers, to really be able to have a team that is monitoring every single package to make sure that it doesn't perish. Now we work with more than 600 food makers, restaurants, and artisans all across the country. The team has doubled in size since March, more than 1 million new customers this year. Our mission as a company is to bring people comfort through food, whatever they dream of, wherever they are. So I think as people become now more accepting of beautiful food experiences in a box shipped across state lines, I do think consumer habits will change. And I think as people get more comfortable and we're seeing many more repeat orders, I think the Goldbelly experience will become much more a part of people's lives as we go forward.
10-second trivia. Which of these nations borders both China and India? Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, Vietnam, or Nepal? Situated between India and the Tibet Autonomous Region of China is the nation of Nepal. And sitting on the border between Nepal and the Tibet Autonomous Region of China is the highest peak on the planet. But exactly how high is Mount Everest? There's a long-running debate about that. Different countries have had different estimates of Everest's height. A Chinese survey done in 2005 estimated Everest's altitude at about 29,015 feet. But because Nepal didn't authorize that research, it stuck with the measurement of 29,029 feet that an Indian survey determined in 1955. In more recent years, China and India have re-examined Everest's measurements. They agreed to cooperate with their findings, and after different teams examined leveling instrument, gravity meter, and GPS information, they just announced the mountain's official height together. Drum roll, please. Mount Everest stands at about 29,032 feet tall. And climbing it is probably effective, if also extremely dangerous and expensive exercise. Climbers typically pay between $30,000 and $90,000 to risk life and limb on the mountain. And only about 29% of those who try actually make it to the top. But amid all the restrictions imposed this year because of the coronavirus pandemic, a lot of folks can't even climb the rock wall at a gym. Does that matter? Yes, according to CNN 10 contributor Chris James.
Hey Carl, there are 3 things that will keep many of us glued right here on our couches through the near future. Winter, the yearly flu season, and of course the second wave of the COVID-19 pandemic. I, for one, have been spending more time inside the walls of this apartment than ever before. But with so many of us staring down the next few months indoors, it's important to develop a plan now to remain physically active during the long winter ahead. Here's what you need to know. While we're all keenly aware of how important it is to engage in some regular forms of exercise, you might not realize how damaging and ultimately expensive reduced physical activity can be on our bodies. It can lead to poor sleep, increased body fat, reduced muscle mass, and even insulin resistance, which is a common warning sign for the development of type 2 diabetes. Physical inactivity can also be a big factor towards developing mental illness. This is also something we need to make sure we talk to our parents and grandparents about, because according to a study from McMaster University, once an older individual loses muscle, it's much harder for them to ever restore it. Even when the study's older research subjects went back to their normal daily routines, they did not regain that lost muscle. But just because we may not want to leave the house right now for a variety of different reasons, does not in any way mean that we can't keep and even build muscle right now here at home. It's important to remember to make sure we're eating foods high in protein and engaging in resistance exercise. If you don't have access to a gym, there are loads of videos on YouTube where you can literally follow along to a free guided workout. And don't forget, we can always manage to fit body weight exercises in. Some easily accessible options to help meet the World Health Organization's latest physical activity guidelines include push-ups, lunges, stair climbing, and yes, of course, everyone's favorite, squats. Back to you, Carl.
Upcoming Olympic events: sports climbing, extreme canoe slalom, and breakdancing. It'll make its debut at the 2024 Summer Games in Paris, France. The International Olympic Committee made the announcement this week. It says it's part of an effort to make the Games more youthful and more urban. Some athletes in excluded sports, like squash, strongly disagree with the decision, but the IOC says the host countries have some influence over what's included, and France apparently proposed breakdancing. How will it be judged? I mean, it's not like judges can just freeze and lock into whatever down rock makes the floor rock, or try to decipher all the handspin, heel spin, or backspin that makes their head spin like a windmill. Or maybe it is, as long as they have a firm foundation for breaking down all the hype. I'm Carl Azus for CNN 10, and let's be frank, Frankfort High School is awesome. Shout out to our viewers in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and thank you for subscribing and leaving a comment on our YouTube channel. We'll see you tomorrow.